What if I told you that one of the absolute best communication techniques has nothing to do with what you say, but everything to do with what you don't say? Today, we're going to break down a strategy that's so simple, but so incredibly effective, it can literally change how people see you in any conversation. It's called the power pause.
We all kind of grow up with this idea, right? That power means being loud, being the first to jump in, dominating the conversation. Well, it turns out that's just not true. Real power, real authority, it doesn't come from just filling the air with noise. It comes from mastering that empty space.
So let's start with the real heart of the problem here, our deep, almost primal fear of silence.
Just think about it for a second. You're in a conversation. There's a little lull, a moment of quiet, and what happens? We panic. Our brains go into overdrive, and we just scramble to fill that void with, well, with anything. A nervous laugh, a filler word like or so, or we just start rambling. It's like our default setting. Silence feels awkward, so we have to smother it with noise.
It's a really interesting question, isn't it? Why are we so freaked out by that? That brief moment of quiet can feel like an absolute eternity. We immediately think it's a failure, a sign that something's wrong. But what if that little moment of nothing was actually our biggest advantage?
And that brings us to the solution, a brilliantly simple technique often called the 2-second rule. And it's the key to flipping that silence from a weakness into a serious strength.
So what is this big secret technique? It's just this, a conscious, deliberate choice to wait for 2 full seconds before you answer a question or make your next point. This isn't some awkward hesitation. Nope. This is a strategic silence.
That's all it takes, just 2 seconds. Let's actually feel what that's like right now. See? It's just long enough to get noticed. It creates this little bit of anticipation and signals to everyone that you are completely in control.
But here's where it gets really fascinating. This isn't just about how it looks or feels. There's some real neuroscience that explains why this simple little pause is so incredibly effective.
See, when you pause like that, you're doing something unexpected. The other person's brain is wired to expect a quick, maybe even slightly nervous reply. When it doesn't get that, your calm silence triggers a tiny little alarm in their brain's threat detection center, the amygdala. They subconsciously start thinking, whoa, wait, why aren't they flustered? What do they know that I don't?
And this creates this incredible dynamic. While their brain's little panic button is being subtly pushed, your brain is hanging out in the prefrontal cortex, the calm control center. They feel a tiny loss of control while you project this aura of unshakable confidence, and you haven't even said a word yet.
So how does this one small change become this huge shift in your entire communication style? Well, it's all about moving from just making noise to making a real impact.
So many of our conversations are basically just a competition for airtime. We're so busy thinking about what we're going to say next that we're not even really listening. We're just waiting for a gap so we can jump in. The power pause is about abandoning that fight completely.
So instead of fighting for airtime, you start commanding space. That's silence. It forces the other person to stop and process not just what they're thinking, but your presence. You take control of the whole rhythm of the conversation. You literally own the room by owning the silence in it.
And what happens then? Well, because you've built up that tiny moment of tension, that little bit of anticipation, when you do finally speak, your words don't just add to the noise. They land with incredible weight. People actually lean in. They listen more closely because you've non-verbally told them that what you're about to say is deliberate and it's important.
So at the end of the day, the power pause is way more than just some clever trick. It's a real tool you can start using right now to command space and earn genuine respect. Let's just wrap this all up. By embracing that silence, you're signaling confidence, not weakness. You're forcing others to stop and actually register your presence in the room. This makes sure that when you do speak, your words have maximum impact. And maybe the best part, you get to turn that internal feeling of anxiety into an external projection of calm, solid authority. So I'll just leave you with this challenge. The next time you're in a meeting, a negotiation, or even just talking with a friend, who are you going to command space with first? Give the 2-second rule a try. I think you're going to be shocked by what happens.